Hi, Angelo here, and today is the first Sunday of Advent, and I'll be reflecting on Mark chapter 13, verse 33 to 37. So, Jesus talked a lot about staying awake in this gospel, right? And he gave us the parable of the man who went away and he left his servants in charge, who, another way we could say it is, he gave his people authority in the house to run the different affairs. And he mentioned over and over, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake, at least three times, right? So for me, this gospel really is about, I think, being present and about community as well. And the reason I say this is because this idea of being present is Advent, right? It's a time of waiting, or at least so we like to say, it's a time of waiting, it's a time of waiting for Jesus' birth, waiting for his coming into our lives, however we would like to interpret that. But a time of waiting, ultimately. And yet, at the same time, or at least as our experience here in Trinidad and Tobago is, right now it's a season for anything but waiting, meaning Christmas season, one of the busiest seasons of the year. Everything is a hustle and bustle. I'm talking about from the amount of cars on the road, feeling like the traffic increasing, to the amount of commerce taking place, like everything. The place just becomes so much more busy. And not just here, I mean, obviously in so many different parts of the world. So we get so caught up in all this busyness. And yet at the same time, we're in church hearing this idea of staying awake because we need to wait for the master to return. I mean, it's like two polar opposites in a way. And the whole idea of us living faithfully true to our faith, do we really follow what we hear about and what we are asked to do? Me and Jesus telling us, or asking us rather, to stay awake, kept saying stay awake and wait, or do we give in to all the different distractions we have in the world, which, I mean, is necessary, right? Life have to live too, obviously. But do we lose ourselves in this season, except for 1 hour a week? Or do we really try to push back against this system that has become overzealous in what it was originally intended for? This time of togetherness and family has now turned into a time of buying the most expensive gifts as a way to try to show love, or decorating our houses in over extravagant ways, or, which is a good thing, trying to be more generous to those who are less privileged than us. Like, all these things are well and good, but ultimately, are they what we should be focusing on, or really are they distractions? So this idea of waiting, staying awake, we need to slow down, really and truly. At least my contribution to this problem, in terms of my contribution to the solution, is to slow down. And I'm not saying to stop altogether, of course not. But my question is, are we willing to let go of potential and progress to live a life that is more meaningful? I'm not saying progress isn't great and should be maximized and capitalized on, sure, yeah. But at what cost? Is it at the cost of our entire lives? I mean, I, for one, getting involved in ministry and church and everything, I believe that right now there's too much going on. And it is not meant to say that we should stop everything we're doing altogether, because, of course, I believe almost all the things, if not everything we do, is very necessary. But where does that leave us? Physically, emotionally, spiritually? Where are we left? Are we left frustrated, burnt out, tired over the amount of stuff that needs to get done? Or do we try to balance our lives a little bit more, still trying to be, of course, as productive as we can, but yet at the same time, making time for the entire reason that we are doing all of this? That God that we believe in, this God of love, this God who we wait for at the end of this Advent season. He is asking us to stay awake, or we could also say stay alert. And are we really doing that? Or are we falling asleep in the busyness of all of our affairs that we ultimately have been the ones to create for our own selves? So I think about staying awake, and a way to do that by slowing down. And I also think that this command that we are given to take care of the house, we've been given the authority to look after the different affairs until the master returns. Are we supposed to do everything by ourselves? Because according to this reading, it seems like each person was given their own task and they had to say about their own affairs. And he talked about the different times as well. The master may return in the evening, in the morning, at midnight, however it was worded. In the interest of being productive, we could often work ourselves to exhaustion to the point that we wear it as a crown. Is that what we're really called for? Or do we see about what we were put in charge to see about? And yet at the same time work with each other so that when the master does return, whoever is asleep at that point can be woken up by the others who are awake at that point of the day. Because we can't keep going and going and going and not ever taking time to rest. I mean, even according to the creation story, God took God's time to rest. Why don't we? Yes, things need to do. But we also do need to take care of ourselves, especially not only for longevity purposes, because God would like us to enter into that self-love as well, to take care of ourselves and to make room to experience that love, that love from God in our own lives. I think that's what Advent is calling us to. That's what Advent is asking us to do. To slow down, to wait, to listen, to be alert, so that when the Master returns, when we encounter Christ in our lives, we are ready. But we can't do it by ourselves. We need one another. And as long as we stick together and we have one another, then we will experience Christ together as a community. Thank you.